Welcome to my guide for Rank 2.0 and how to reach gold. This video will be broken into two parts. The first part will focus on explaining Rank 2.0 and how it is different from the old rank system. And the second will be a few tips for how to reach gold. I've tried to make things as easy to understand as possible, but there's quite a bit to talk about, and a lot of people are confused about how Ranked 2.0 works, so I will attempt to explain it in the best way I can. First, we need to explain how the old rank system worked, because Rank 2.0 uses a lot of the foundation of the original ranking system. In the old system, players would start on a level 50 account at 2500 MMR. This number would be used to matchmake you with other players who also had a similar MMR to you, but it was also used as your rank. So, if you had 2500 MMR, you would have a rank of Silver 1 and play with and against other players who are around the Silver 1 rank. For the first 10 games of the season, you would be unranked, and after 10 games, you would be given a rank. So, if you won 5 games and lost 5 games, your MMR would still be around 2500, and you would be placed at Silver 1. If you won all 10 games, you could be closer to 3500 MMR and would be placed in Platinum. If you lost all 10 games, you would be around 1500 MMR and placed Copper. For the first 10 to 20 games, you would win or lose about 100 MMR per game. This number would also be determined by the enemy team and their MMR as well. So, if your team had an average of 2500 MMR, and the enemy team had an average of 2700 MMR, the game would determine beforehand that the enemy team should win the game. However, if your team won, you would gain more MMR, and the enemy would lose more MMR than they normally would. The game had an equation in place to determine your rank. As the game gains confidence, it will slowly drop the amount of points you win or lose each game the more you play. While at the beginning of the season, you may gain 100 points, after 50 to 100 games, that number will drop to only gaining 30 points a game. It will take more games for you to rank up or to rank down, as the game is confident after this amount of games that you are the rank you deserve to be. The only thing that determines your rank is wins and losses. No other factors are taken into account. Rank 2.0 still has this system in place. However, now it is hidden and working in the background. MMR is now hidden and called skill. It is not directly your rank anymore, although it does help determine what your rank will be. As a level 50 account, you will start at around 2500 skill range. With the new system, you start unranked, but after playing one game, you will be given the rank of Copper 5. Every player will start at this rank. However, as we discussed, the matchmaking will be based off of your skill and not your rank. At the beginning of the season, for every game you win, you will be awarded 80 ranked points and lose 9 ranked points. This is to make it as easy as possible to rank up and to make it harder to rank down. As you play through the ranks, the closer your rank gets to your skill, you will begin to gain less points for each win and lose more for each loss. Eventually, the two values will sync up, and you will begin only gaining or losing around 30 points for each win or loss. This will take roughly 50 to 100 games to get to this point. However, it could happen sooner if you have a lower skill value. At this point, the ranking system becomes almost identical to the old one. Your skill and rank will still be tracked separately, however, they will almost always be synced up at this point. Now that we have explained that, we can ask ourselves, how hard is it to hit gold in the new system? I believe that in Rank 2.0, achieving gold might be more difficult than it was previously. While in the previous system, you could get gold by winning 6 out of your 10 placement games, in the new system, it will take a lot more than 10 games. For me, on my main account, it took 41 games. I lost 21 and won 20. The entire time I was winning the full or close to the full 80 rank points and only losing 9. I then did this again on a fresh level 50 account and it took 35 games, winning 21 and losing 14. Again, I was gaining the full 80 for every win and only losing 9 for each loss. However, this will not be the same for everyone. On the level 50 eco-friendly egg account, I won 13 out of the first 21 games I played. This raised my skill from 2500 up to around 3500. This gave me a lot of room for error in my next couple games, and assured that my rank was far enough away from my skill that I continued to gain 80 points all the way to gold. But if I had lost 13 of my first 21 games, my skill would have dropped drastically to around the 1500 to 2000 range. This means that as I got close to hitting silver at 2000 MMR, my points would even out to only winning 30 and losing 30. So, if this happens to you, you'll be stuck in a situation where to rank up by 1 rank, you will need to win 3 games in a row. So, to get from silver 5 to gold 5, you would need to win 15 or more games in a row. This can feel like a hole that is impossible to dig yourself out of, and so this is where we get to the next point in the video. How do you reach gold no matter what rank you currently are? My biggest piece of advice is for you to admit that you are bad. A lot of complaints I see from players unable to reach the rank they think they deserve is to blame other people. It's the teammate's fault, it's the map's fault, it's the ranking's fault. While sometimes these things may be true, it is unhelpful to place blame on these things because you have no control over them. If your teammate loses you a game, that can be frustrating, but there's nothing that you can do about it. No matter what, you won't be able to win every game. Some games you will lose no matter what, just like some games you will win no matter what. You need to learn how to control the games between these two extremes, where your actions can help determine the outcome of the game. One of the most important things to remember is just to be positive and have a positive outlook on your games. You also need to learn the meta. The current meta of the game is very gunfight oriented. Knowing this, you should mainly focus on 3 things: gun skill, positioning, and time management. Gun skill is currently the most important skill to have in Rainbow Six Siege. Planting, site setup, and utility are important, but without gun skill, these things are pretty much useless in the current meta. Your focus first and foremost is practicing your gun skill and being able to get kills. When picking an operator, the most important gadget is their gun. When choosing a gun, you should be looking at 4 things: ammo capacity, recoil control, damage, and rate of fire. What you are looking for is something that is good at all these things. For ammo capacity, you want to look for a gun that has 30 bullets or more. Any gun that has less is going to put you in a bad situation if you need to take on more than 1 enemy at a time. With 30 or more bullets, you are able to be a little more liberal with when you shoot, and it makes pre-firing more viable, especially if you know where an enemy is. With 30 bullets, you should easily be able to take out 2 to 3 enemies without reloading. If you have bad aim, the more ammo you have, the more likely you are of getting a kill before you run out. You want a gun that has as easy of recoil to control as possible. So while guns like the SMG-11 and Scorpio might be fun to use, you want to make getting kills consistently as easy as you possibly can. For attachments, I recommend the vertical grip on pretty much every gun. It will improve your recoil control and make the gun much easier to control. As for barrel attachments, you will almost always want to go with the flash hider or compensator. Try each one out in the shooting range and decide which you like more. While the suppressor and extended barrel both just got buffed, neither will help you with recoil control, so you should only put them on guns that you already have no problem controlling the recoil on. Damage. You ideally are looking for something that will kill an enemy in 3 to 4 shots, so something with 30 to 50 damage points is what you're looking for. Rate of fire. Rate of fire is important, especially if you are going for headshots. With a high rate of fire weapon, you can aim close to the head and shoot, and just hope one happens to hit. Rate of fire will also decrease the time to kill, making it easier to get kills. Taking these factors into account, I'd recommend playing Ashe, Yana, Lion, Buck, or Sledge on attack, and Rook, Frost, Kapkan, or Oryx on defense. All of these operators have good guns that are easy to control and easy to get kills with. With these operators, you not only get access to a good gun, but a good supporting kit as well. Ash, Sledge, Buck, and Lion all have some kind of soft breach or access to the Gon 6. This is useful to quickly open up doors, windows, or destroy bulletproof cameras, shields, and barbed wire. Yana has access to nades, which can be used in the same way or as an easy kill. Kapkan and Frost are both good options because their traps punish teams that are aggressive or don't drone. They also help you secure more kills even if you are not great at shooting. Rook offers self-revive and more health to every defender, which can be very useful especially in the current gunfight meta. And Oryx is a powerful roamer who can move around the map super easily. You need to fine-tune your aiming. Practice in T-Hunt. The headshot only mode is super helpful for practicing crosshair placement to ensure that you're aiming at head level instead of at the ground. Play team deathmatch and practice in the shooting range. I would also recommend clipping a game and watching it back to determine if you need to adjust your ADS sensitivity. Many players play with sensitivity that is either much too high or much too low. Find a good balance, and I would recommend staying on the lower side of the settings to make it easier on yourself to control recoil. The current meta is all about getting kills, and so you need to learn how to get kills. If you have a 1.0 KD or lower, you really need to focus on your gun skill, as this is probably one of the leading factors in your low rank. Next, we'll look at positioning. Positioning refers to the positioning of your operator on the map. Where are you positioned, and how does your position change throughout the game? To have good positioning, you need to have good map knowledge and be able to read the enemy team to a certain extent. Where is the site on the map? Where are you playing? Are you in a vulnerable spot? Are you in a spot the enemies expect you to be? Positioning can be really hard, and it is something that will take time to learn. A good rule of thumb is to move after every kill or when you are spotted by a drone. If the enemies know your position, it is pretty useless and you have become an easy kill for the enemy team. If you are constantly on the move after every kill, the enemies won't be able to pinpoint your location and you may be able to get some free kills. And finally, time management. Each round is 3 minutes long. On defense, the clock is on your side. If it hits 0 seconds without the enemy team planting, you win. On attack, the clock is your enemy. If it hits 0 seconds without planting, you lose. Because of this, on attack, you need to play aggressively, as you are limited on time. Most attackers either play way too aggressively or way too passively. An example of playing too aggressively would be to pick Ash every round and rush site without droning. While this may be successful sometimes, it is not going to pay off most rounds. It's a gamble, high risk, high reward. On the other hand, a lot of attackers will rappel up to the roof and sit there for the entire round, droning or holding an angle. This is way too passive. And again, while it may work sometimes, the problem is it's putting too much pressure on the rest of your team to push while you sit on the roof. You need to find a good balance between the two. The first minute of the round should be spent finding a safe way to enter the building, the next minute should be spent taking map control or roam clearing, and the final minute you should be taking site control. This of course will change round to round and game to game. It will depend on what your team is doing and what the enemy team is doing. Part of becoming good at this game is being able to improvise and change your playstyle round to round and game to game depending on how your team is performing and how the enemy team is performing. On defense, most teams play too aggressively. There is no need to run outside or overextend yourself by having the whole team roaming. You need to again find a good balance with part of the team playing on site and part of the team roaming and slowing down the attackers. On defense, if you are roaming and holding something way off site and you notice that 2 minutes have passed and no one have pushed you, it is probably a good idea to get closer to site and flank rather than continuing to stay way off site. As the clock gets closer to 0, the enemy team is more and more likely to take site control, and so it is time to make your way back to site. Playing as a team. Siege is a team game and it can't be won alone. However, I think sometimes the team aspect is overrated, especially if you are playing in lower ranks. In games below the gold skill level, you will see a lot of teams play extremely uncoordinated, and it is unlikely that they are communicating. If you find yourself playing a team like this, you need to exploit this by playing more aggressively. If you find yourself on a team that isn't communicating, you need to still be able to play off of your team without communicating with them. This can be done by having the situational awareness of knowing where each of your teammates is playing and paying attention to where they are when they die, as you now know the location of at least one enemy, and you can use this to your advantage. Playing solo queue can be extremely annoying, as you have to rely so much on people you don't know and can't talk to. So I would recommend finding at least one other person to play with and developing strats the two of you can work on together. Even if you are playing alone, pay close attention to what your team is doing and try to capitalize off it. And finally, don't throw. I like to say it's not about who's better, it's about who's worse. Lots of games are won or lost because of stupid mistakes that cost the game. Every time you die, stop and think about why you died. Was it because of a mistake you made, or because of something skilled the enemy did? If it was something dumb you did, make a note of it and don't do it again. If it was because of something skilled the enemy did, think about why it worked and try to utilize it in the future. Much of Siege is about learning. There's a lot to learn and it can be overwhelming, but try to learn as much as you can. Even the best players can always improve on something. Thank you for watching my video, and let me know down below if you have any questions or comments for me. I will be happy to answer whatever questions you may have. Site setups and stuff like that I didn't really focus on in this video just because there are already a lot of guides on that, and the site setups are pretty default and I didn't want to have to run through all of them. I'll try to list below maybe a guide of each site and how to best set it up for you to look at, as that is a lot to go through in one video. But if that is what you are interested in, I will try to put something for you down in the description to check out. So again, thank you for watching. Let me know if you have any questions. I will be happy to answer whatever questions might come up. Also, this video will probably be out of date in a year, or maybe a little more, maybe a little less. So if you're watching this in 2024 or later, it is probably outdated.